Hi guys, it's Haley and Makmak here. Welcome to my channel, Piano Hobby, a place to learn music in a fun, enjoyable way. In the second video, we recognized the piano keys and notes. This time, we'll be learning how to read music notes. Reading music is like learning a new language. Stop interrupting. There are a bunch of symbols you need to know, which include the staff, the clef, and the notes.
When learning how to read piano notes, an important first step is understanding the staff. Music is written on a staff. A staff consists of 5 lines and 4 spaces. The lines and spaces are named after the first 7 letters of the alphabet. Each of those lines and spaces represent a different letter, which in turn represents a note. Now let's talk about clefs. The 2 clefs you need to know are called the treble clef and the bass clef. The higher notes on the piano are notated on the treble clef. That's why whenever you see notes in the treble clef, that's when your right hand needs to play. The lower notes on the piano are notated on the bass clef. So whenever you see notes in the bass clef, that's when your left hand needs to play.
Treble right, bass left.
When you put the 2 clefs together, the treble clef is placed in the top staff, whereas the bass clef is in the bottom staff. It makes sense that the treble is above the bass since the notes in the treble clef are in the higher pitches. When you connect these 2 clefs and staves with a vertical line and a bracket known as a brace on the left, they form the grand staff.
Next, let's move on to note reading. Remember where the middle C is on the piano from the second lesson?
That's easy. Middle C is right in the middle of the piano.
That's right, and so the middle C is also placed in the middle of the grand staff. Middle C lies in the gap between the staves on an imaginary line. Notes that go through a line are called line notes, and notes that sit in a space, in other words, no line going through them, are called space notes. One step above middle C in the treble is the D note. Both middle C and D are right below line 1, but D doesn't have an imaginary line like middle C, so it's considered a space note. The notes after D are finally sitting in the treble staff. For example, note E is on line 1. Note F is on the first space line. Note G is on line 2. Remember how after G it cycles back to A? That's why note A is on the second space line. The following notes just keep going up the next line or space, alternating one after another. If we look at the bass staff now, we'll need to think backwards since we're heading down and to the left side this time. One step below middle C in the bass is the B note. Both middle C and B are above the 5th line, but B doesn't have an imaginary line like middle C. The notes below B are finally sitting in the bass staff, either on a line or space, alternating one after another.
A useful tool is to use memory aids to help identify the notes.
When line notes and space notes alternate one after another, they are stepping up or down. And when a line note goes to the next line note, or a space note goes to the next space note, they are either skipping up or down. If we look at the treble staff first, the 4 spaces spell the word face. F, A, C, E. The 5 lines of the treble staff are E, G, B, D, F.
What word is that? It doesn't spell a word this time, but you can come up with a sentence to remember these notes. The most common one we use is every good boy does fine.
E for every, G for good, B for boy, D for does, and F for fine.
But hey, feel free to get creative and make it more personal, like Emma goes by dog.
Next, let's look at the base staff. The 4 spaces are A, C, E, G for A for all, C for cows, E for eat, and G for grass. And the 5 lines are G, B, D, F, A for G for good, B for birds, D for don't, F for fly, and A for away.
It might take some time at first to remember which word or sentence is for which clef, or if it's for line or space notes. One way to help you recognize them better is by remembering the sentences for the base staff is related to animals, cows, and birds. Whereas for the treble staff, it is related to humans, face, and boy. What's wrong? TMI? No worries, just watch this video again. Also, make sure you watch my first 2 videos if you haven't yet. Please like and subscribe if you want to see our next video. Thank you!